And we live.
What's the difference between me and you? Me and you.
I'm pretty tired.
And I am wide awake. Hence, an extra coffee.
It's actually weird now that we have the screen facing us. I can see myself at all times.
Yeah, I don't know if I like it. Just kinda love it. I'm such a fucking hoe. I love it. I'm a zigzagger like a quick snack. Oh, I'm a zigzagger like a quick snack. Oh, okay, we're done. What are we talking about this week?
I don't know.
What are the rules for this talk?
So I finally posted. Yeah, don't do
Just shoot me next time I say that.
It's funny because we're gonna be still saying these. So these are just old jokes, I guess, from our old content.
Yeah.
I guess that's just been cycling over and over, just recycled over and over years now.
Just like inside jokes that everyone just like rolls their eyes at, but we still kind of.
But nobody knows. But by now, nobody knows what we're talking about. Yeah. But yeah, no. So I wrote this article. So I don't know if you guys know, or if you obviously know that I write on my website now. So I made this website where I blog, and I just write articles about anything. And
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, I don't know why this is coming to mind, but like, if I say that I have a website, it's kind of like when we have YouTube channels.
Yeah.
Right. As soon as you're like, I'm a YouTuber, people immediately have ideas. They're
About
like,
what?
you know what you should do?
Oh yeah.
You should make this type of content because that's the stuff that people want.
Yeah.
And then I remember like, so I was talking to one of my friends and he's not like this, but he's got some experience with website stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was also saying like, oh yeah, you should like niche down. But again, that's with the thought that I want to like eventually monetize and roll this into something more whatever, which I was kind of talking to him about that. So he's like, yeah, you should niche down. That was a tip. Which like I might in some ways, but for now that's not what it is. It's just for me to like just write whatever I want. It's more just for me to have a place to put ideas.
It's trickle down nicheonomics.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
But no, I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. Like I'm finding that I think I communicate better as a writer than I do through like video and like I feel like it's probably like writing and then audio and then video. Like I'm good at editing, but me being the guy on camera as like a speaker or whatever, I'm probably not as good at. But like writing, I enjoy.
Yeah, I can say as someone who's known you for a while that like you and someone who talks to you frequently, you communicate better writing.
Oh, thanks.
As opposed to talking.
Oh, thanks.
No, I'm just kidding. No, that's interesting. Like, you said potentially you might niche down. Like,
well, okay, so then I've been doing this for maybe a month or two now, and I've written actually quite a bit. Cause I just started to just see like what would happen, like with not like externally but internally, like how frequently am I gonna write? Like how do I enjoy this or whatever. And I actually ended up writing like quite a bit over the course of I think 2 months or so. I think it's been I think it was at the end of August.
Yeah.
And then I've written almost like an article every second day, you could say. Like roughly there's that many articles between now and then. So which is, I guess, not surprising, but I guess I have a lot of thoughts and I feel like it makes me feel, it's fun to express them in a writing way. But I just, for the longest time, and I think this is something that all artists and people that like, especially because now everybody's on social media, people can relate to this because in your own way, when you post something, you are kind of an artist in a way, right? It's expression, right? So the most recent one I wrote was about how your content isn't a reflection on you necessarily. So I don't know. I guess I'll just sum up the article, but this is good because it gives you context for the article as well.
Okay.
And then I'll lead that into why it can help you build confidence to put things out and why that's a good and why you'd want to do that. But I was listening to like a Tim Ferriss podcast, and
sorry, who's that? I don't.
You know what Tim Ferriss is?
No.
So Tim
for
Ferriss.
The people at home that might not know.
Yeah, I mean it's not a big deal. It doesn't actually really matter who he is, but he's an entrepreneur, and then he's done a bunch of things. But now he has a podcast. He wrote a bunch of books. His big breakout book was 4 Hour Work Week. I'm not a huge fan, but I like some of his stuff. And he's been on Gary Vee and whatever. He's cool. He's a cool guy, Tim Ferriss. Because he has his podcast. He's interviewed tons of people, like from Malcolm Gladwell to like a UFC fighter to like all these people. So he's got a big podcast now.
Yeah.
Started from that book 4 Hour Work Week. Anyway, he had this guy called Derek Sivers on, which I didn't know who he was. yet either. Like I only know him because of that podcast, and I did a quick Google search. Doesn't really matter. He was talking about, because he was a performer and he's also now an entrepreneur or whatever, but he was talking about performing and like, well, how he built his confidence as a performer. And he took this gig as like the MC of a circus show. And then so he would open the show, and then in between acts he would introduce the next act. And so he was saying one of his biggest not inspirations, or what helped him gain the confidence, was the person that ran the show or owned the circus or whatever, was kind of like his mentor, and he was like, she single-handedly gave me helped me gain this confidence. And then every time he would introduce an act, usually he'd be kind of like, she's like, oh, you're up there like David Letterman, kind of like all like, oh yeah, okay, all right, settle down guys, all right, here comes the next act, all right, you know, like kind of like trying to be too cool, because he felt like they were judging him, kind of like when you're up there by yourself as the MC guy, you're self-conscious, right? Because everybody's looking at you. Because I remember even I had to do that, like funnily enough, like when I was in grade 7, I think, at the last year of elementary school, I don't know why they just chose me to be like one of the kids to like be. It was just some stupid, you know, the assemblies. Yeah. You're just supposed to be in there and you just kind of make they wanted me to say something like, oh, some joke. I can't even remember what they wanted me to say, but I was supposed to be one of the kids that stood up in the middle of the assembly to say some shit. Yeah. And then I remember like standing up and like everybody's fucking looking at you, and you have like a mic, and it's just weird because you're like, everybody's staring at you, and you're self-conscious, right? Because everybody's looking at you, and you just imagine all the things that people are thinking. Yeah. Right? But what she said to him, Derek Sivers, was like, you know, don't act all like cool or whatever. Like, the people came here for a show, right? So give them what they came for. And it was in that moment that he realized it's like, it's not about me. They're not here for me. They're not judging me or whatever. Like, it has nothing to do with that. They paid for a show, for the circus show. So give them what they came for. And so next time he went on, and he went on with a crazy, like he went on like full the other way. Where he's like, ladies and gentlemen, next up we have, you know, like an elephant coming out, and like he just pizzazz and like the fast talking and like went really over the top. And the audience just loved it, apparently. Right? And then she's like, that's what I meant. Like that's what they came here for, right? And so whenever he went on stage after that, or kind of like, that's the beginning of him thinking like, yeah, like, okay, this isn't about me. This is about them. And that's what I think, like, when we look at our content, when I think of guys making videos, like I can see this going in so many different ways, right? So when we make our stuff, I think a lot of what we not miss, but like a lot of artists, when they're starting out, they kind of forget sometimes, is that it's not about, again, it's the giving or taking, right? Like, are you making stuff because you want people to like you, or are you doing it for them? Yeah. And that's part of it. But also, like, what are they looking for? So it's kind of like when we do this podcast or whatever, what I'm doing right now is like, you know, me and you can just talk without recording it. And that's right. But this is for someone to watch, potentially, in theory. So what does that mean? That means I should be at least trying to give some type of value. Like, there's a reason why someone would watch this, right? So it's kind of like when I think of when I'm in the mindset of when I'm scrolling through Instagram or on Facebook or whatever social media, or even on watching TV, I don't really care necessarily about who's giving me the information. It's like when I'm trying to fix my computer, right? Like the blue screen, I don't care who's going to give me the answer. I just want the answer, right? And it has nothing to do with the person. So like, case in point, actually, ironically, I didn't even remember that at first when I remembered that quote. I forgot where I even remembered it from. Like, they're here for a show, they're not here for you, or whatever. That inspired the article in the first place. Ironically, I didn't even remember where that came from. I was like, I had to think back, and I was like, I think it was on a podcast, Tim Ferriss, and I didn't even know who the guy was. I was just like, you know what? It's funny. For the longest time, I was searching Tim Ferriss and that quote. Yeah. And that wasn't even the actual quote. I just somehow summed the quote up in my own words.
Like paraphrased it.
Yeah, I paraphrased it, so I couldn't find it for the longest time. And then finally, I was like, okay, Tim Ferriss. And it was like Derek Sivers. I thought it was Malcolm Gladwell at first because his voice sounds like Malcolm Gladwell, but it was this Derek Sivers guy. So like, my point with that is when you put something out, it's not about you, right? Like, because it wasn't about me being like, Derek Sivers is a very intelligent guy, which is something I could think, obviously, right? But it was more that the message had the impact on me, not the messenger. And so when you put something out, like, obviously people are inevitably going to make assumptions based on the content you put out.
Yeah.
Right? So the analogy is like, I can say something and it can make me sound super fucking stupid and dumb. Right? But that says nothing about whether I'm smart or stupid or not. Right? I can say something completely ridiculous. Right? And people may be like, wow, that guy's a fucking dumbass. Right? But they don't actually know what's going on in my head. I could actually be super intelligent. They don't know. I could have just said that for shits and giggles. Who knows?
Yeah.
And so when you make something and you want to put it out on social media, or like, it doesn't matter, any kind of expression where you're feeling self-conscious about like putting out your YouTube video, or like writing something, or like, you know, musicians, or anything that where you go out there. It's kind of, or even Louis C.K., for example, is when I think about his comedy, is it actually has very little to do with who he is. Like, you actually, if you've only watched his stand-up, you don't actually know who he is per se,
except for the masturbating thing.
I mean, that's
that's in one of his bits. But no, I'm just.
I mean, that's like an example of like acting too, right?
Yeah.
You know very little about the actor.
Yeah.
When you see their performance, because they're not showing who they are. It has nothing to do with them. It's for the performance of the movie or whatever it is, right? Like Louis C.K., his purpose on stage is to make you laugh. Okay, so he's trying to make you laugh. It has nothing to do with who he is, right? It's kind of like he'll use that as a tool to be like, yeah, this is who I am, and that's why it's funny. Because Louis C.K., if you imagine him, it's funny to think that, and that's a key part, it's funny to imagine Louis C.K. as a person who thinks these things. Yeah. That's his style. That's the way he conveys his comedy. But in reality, he's even said in interviews, he's like, yeah, that's all those stories aren't like true. They're just funny stories that I make up. But they're funny to think of in the way of like, oh, if I was that person.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the one, like he was saying, the one where he was standing there in the bathrobe, right? And then that guy comes over and he's like, you don't belong here, kind of thing. Remember that one where he's like looking, it's like a super fancy apartment or a hotel or something. I don't remember, yeah. So yeah, anyway, there's or the one where he's like, the guy beside him on the plane was complaining about Wi-Fi. Do you remember that one? He has this bit where it's like, it doesn't matter. There's one bit where he's like, the guy's complaining about Wi-Fi beside him on the airplane, because it's like a new thing, right? Wi-Fi on the airplane is new. And then the guy's like, fucking bullshit, or whatever. And then Louis C.K.'s like, wow, man, what the fuck? Like, you're a billion miles up in the air. Like, that's amazing enough. And now you have Wi-Fi, but you're complaining? Like, you're being a bitch. Right? But actually, that was him. Actually, he was thinking that. Right? Because he was on there, his Wi-Fi, and then the Wi-Fi cut out. And he was the one that was like, fuck. But for the bit, because he wants to make you laugh, he's going to say it was someone else. Yeah. And then he's going to make fun of him. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, the piece that you're putting out, it could be anything, right? Like, it's when people are self-conscious about putting out stuff, you have to realize that in reality, it has nothing to do with you. And then the other thing I talk about in the article is my buddy Leonard was talking about, have you heard of like sand mandalas?
Yeah, I know a mandala.
Mandala. I don't know how to pronounce it. So in Buddhist or Tibetan Buddhist tradition or whatever, one of these rituals is they work on these really intricate colored sand mandalas where it's like there's different colors and they're all like intricately done. It takes weeks and weeks, right? It takes weeks and weeks to make this thing, and it's super beautiful at the end. And then at the end, they just wipe all the sand away and it just destroy it. They dismantle it and they put all the sand in a jar and then they just put it in the river and then it washes away. And it's supposed to be like a sign of, or like symbolizing like the ephemerality of life and
like getting rid of your ego and stuff. Maybe.
Well, I mean, letting go of it, because obviously once you work really hard on something, you're going to grow attached to it.
Yeah.
Right? But letting that go, which, you know, obviously is very Buddhist thing, right? But I think that's also a good exercise in when you make stuff. It's kind of like when I was doing those 1 minutes on Instagram.
Yeah.
Is that like, that was an exercise of that. It's like just whatever, you just do a thing for a minute. It could be anything. And then just post it and let it go. Like, it's an exercise of just like, you know what I mean? Like, as opposed to what most people are used to. Like, I've seen Brat do this, and myself included, right? It's every little thing. It's like, no, let's do it again, right? Like, I keep telling you about that. I don't know why this sticks in my head, but we learned that my phone, when we're recording podcasts, you can rewind and re-record. So if you like stutter, you can go back and re-record that. And when we're recording the podcast, Brat's always like, no, let's go back and let's just go back and redo it. So it's like, it sounds smooth. I stuttered there. Let's go back. Right. And that's just a sign of like, everybody does that. I do that. Right. Like all artists and everybody that wants to put, it's like, you want to get the perfect angle on your selfie and you want to get the right filter. right? And I know people make fun of that, but artists do that all the time, right? Like, did I use the right word in that sentence for this article I'm writing?
Perfectionist,
go
right? Back and tweak things. So even Kanye right now wants to go back to his old songs and get rid of all the swear words.
Oh, is it?
But that's a different story.
Yeah, but being not attached to that and being able to let that go, right? And part of it is obviously because you want to make the perfect product or whatever, but also realizing too that when you put that out, once it's out there, it doesn't necessarily reflect on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously people are going to make assumptions about you because of that.
Yeah.
Like I said, if I say something really, if I said something really stupid right now, people are going to make assumptions that I'm fucking stupid. Right? But that could have been out of context. That could mean anything. Like, you don't know.
So building off that point, I was waiting for you to kind of
all good.
talk about it. But two things. One, the sweater says, keep away from fire. No shit, it's a sweater. Okay, unrelated. Second off, the context stuff, the actual related to your topic. It's funny because, like, that stuff you're talking about, like, you don't have the full context on someone's life, or you don't have the full context of what's behind whatever joke they're making or whatever content they're putting out there. It's funny because that concept lately has been helping me kind of cope with the idea of not giving a shit about what other people think. Like, I still do. I think we all do to a degree. Like, me and you've talked about this. I think you're a lot better at it than I am. But, yeah.
I'm working on it.
What did you say? I don't care. No, no, but it's just like, every time I'm worried that someone's like, I'm guilty, or like I'm guilty because people say I can't come out, or upset that I can't see them as much, or stuff like that. I'm like, you know, or I'm like paranoid in my own head, my own anxiety that like, oh, these people don't like me now because of this or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm also like, they don't have the full fucking context on my life.
Yeah, well,
and that's really helped me a lot to be like, people don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with them either. Like, even my best friends, like, I'm sure there's shit in their life I don't know fully. No, but that's the thing.
Or like
the little micro things.
But even further, you know that, like, you have to really get to that place and, like, that nobody fucking knows.
No.
Ever. Like, even your closest people, like your mom, and your dad, your best friend, anybody that you, even me, like the people that you talk to and, like, show everything to.
Exactly.
Even they don't know, because you could just wake up, even, I don't know, tomorrow and just be like, yeah, I don't think like that anymore. I'm a totally different person. Like, they'll never, ever know exactly who you are and what you're thinking. And you have to, like, I don't know, relish in that.
Yeah.
And realize that so you can move freely.
So that's helped me a lot, because I'm like, yo, like, whether or not they think anything, like, they don't have full context of my life. So who are they to judge, really? And that's kind of helped me cope a bit. I still care to a degree. But I'm just saying, like, it's funny that you touched on that kind of with regards to content and stuff.
Well, I mean, like I wrote that's funny, because in the other article I wrote right before the one I just talked about was about that specifically.
This is the equivalent of Simpsons did it. Oh. Like, Kurt wrote it already. No,
because if you look at the one right before that, I wrote, what did I say? It was like, oh no, it's funny what people will take as excuses for what, like, you just living your life, right? It's kind of like, so for example, my example is my buddy is a professional fighter, so when he has to take a fight, people are just like, yeah, he can't hang out.
Of course, he's a fighter.
Because he's a fighter. He has to prepare for his fight. It's a tough thing. We see it all. Everybody sees it on TV. It's in the culture. UFC, MMA, tough. You got to train really hard. It all makes sense, and, like, it's justified, right?
People already know the work behind it a lot. Yeah. Like, maybe not all of it, but they're like, okay.
But it's in the society, like, the culture now, right?
It's already, there's a presumption that...
it's the same, and it's the same thing as, like, you know, I work X many jobs, or I'm in school full time, or whatever. It's society, like, society accepts it, right? These social contracts. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. But
these frameworks,
social. Anyway, but it's funny when there's things that people don't accept, where, like, people should just accept anything. I feel like, because it's your life and it doesn't really matter, right? Like, why is it okay for him to have that time, but it's not okay for, let's say, me to be like, I don't know, I'm just figuring some shit out in my life and I just need some time alone to figure it out.
Yeah.
But for some reason that's not, or like how come you're not, you're like, how come you're not in school? It's like, oh, I'm just chilling at this job. I'm trying to just live life and figure it out. But that's not okay, right? Because a lot of people have those judgments. It's like, oh, you're only you're not in school. Like, what are you doing then, right? But
exactly.
if someone's in school, it's okay. But like certain things are okay and certain things aren't, right? Like when somebody like not that I have any friends like this, but I could see this happening. This happens with other people, I'm sure. Is that when people ask to hang, or like someone comes from out of town, they want to hang out with you, but you don't have enough time. The excuse is if you're like, oh, I have a pro fight coming up, they'd be like, okay, I understand. But if you're like, yeah, I'm just not really feeling like up to it today, and I just kind of want to hang out, or like, what if I just want to like chill and play video games and kind of recharge and like kind of be more, like not as high energy, hanging out and doing whatever they want to do, they probably would feel more. Zach's trying to
flying going around.
Zach's trying to kill this bug.
Yeah, sorry.
But they would, but they would feel less okay taking that excuse, right? Like, oh, like you're just gonna be at home doing nothing. Like you don't like we should. You don't want to just you're gonna do nothing anyway. Why don't we just hang?
Why don't we just do nothing together?
Yeah, right. Like there's certain things that people just don't accept. That's okay. You know what I mean? Or like. Or, I don't know, case in point when we're like, oh, we have a YouTube channel or have a website or something. No one's ever said this, but I could see people thinking that is like, you have a YouTube channel? Like, does anybody like what? How many subscribers do you have? Like, is that even like a real job or whatever?
You also see this a lot with people and their birthdays. I don't know if you get this as much, where they're like, like if you can't go to their birthday just because you're not feeling up to it, people might like, you can tell if the person's like high maintenance or not, because they'll be like, no, what the hell, you gotta come to my birthday, you're not doing anything anyway. But it's like, like when I have a birthday, I'm like, no pressure. Like if you can't come, like, or just because you need a day off, like, or you just don't feel up to it, no pressure. Like I will have people no matter what, I'm sure. If I'm by myself, fuck it, I don't care. But like, you know what I mean? It's just like, I see other people and they're like so pressuring with that stuff.
Did you read my birthday post?
Sure.
No, because I wrote one. I wrote literally specifically about that topic. Oh, okay. How it's like it's stressful. Blog. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like it's stressful to like when birthdays come up, because now you're juggling. It's not like your birthday then becomes not about you. Like your birthday's not about you.
No, it's not.
Your birthday's about your friends trying to celebrate.
Your wedding isn't either.
Yeah, it's not about you.
It's just appeasing like the social.
It's their self
aspect
esteem. Like you're reinforcing their self esteem by inviting them to your party. Because they're like people will start warming up to you like when your birthday is coming up soon. They're like, yeah, we're friends, right? Like, oh, we should chill more. Yeah,
exactly.
Right, we're friends.
I had people too. Like last birthday, I invited some people, and they're like, wow, I was so honored. Like, I didn't think you'd still invite me to these things. I was like, what the fuck? Like, you're your friend. Like, I just don't see you that often, but like, I wouldn't mind seeing you. Like, what? Yeah. Why is this a thing? Like, oh, you're like out of the ranking now? Like, is there a list? I don't really get it, but some people think that way, To me, I'm like, I haven't seen you in a year. It doesn't feel that long, but like, like, I don't know.
Yeah. But going back to, so I'm going to switch back to the first thing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because when I was thinking about what was the thing,
you do whatever you want. It's fine.
The content thing, I think, what would help too, besides the like, oh, people don't know the context on you. The other thing I think that can help is like if you have a goal with your content, right? So, like the main one, like I keep mentioning, I guess, is the bringing value thing. Is like when somebody's watching this, is there a good reason for them to watch it because they're getting some kind of value out of it?
Yeah.
Right? Am I trying to give back? Like and so when you're focused on that, similarly in the way of like I'm focused on trying to put on a good show because it's the circus, or if I'm focused on trying to make someone laugh because I'm a stand-up comedian, you can focus more on that than on, okay, when I put this content out, people are going to make judgments on me because it's me putting it out and I'm the author. And where it's like, it's not about that. It's not about I'm putting something out so that people can make a judgment. It's kind of like people want to put some content out and then they look at it so that it hopefully gets a lot of praise. Like the more praise it gets, it means I'm cool, right? Like if I get 1 million likes, that means I'm cool because it's a reflection on me.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But it shouldn't be. Yeah. But it shouldn't be about that. It should be like if I'm putting this out, hopefully this brings value to someone. That should be the goal. Like even if a couple people, whatever, find that valuable, then the goal was met. And therefore, when you're making the content, you can focus more on that rather than it have it. Like, and you realize as I'm saying that, I've almost completely forgot about like who's making judgments on me and whatever. It's not even about that anymore. Yeah. Right? It's about like, hey, if your computer's fucked up, this is the solution. Right? It has nothing to do with me. It's just your computer's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, here's the solution.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing that's helped me too, is when I think about putting out content, whatever, for GMV or writing my blogs or whatever, because I worry about that too, is like I even had that little part of the reason why I stopped making those minutes or whatever is because like people started, and it's not a bad thing, but people started being like, "Oh, are you trying to be a motivational speaker?"
No, yeah.
And whatever. I'm like, I don't know. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I'm trying to like help people that have been in like that are in situations that I was kind of in, and I don't think I'm like, again, I'll say this again because I don't know, I feel like saying this all the time, but I don't feel like I'm in some crazy like I'm ahead of everybody or whatever. It's just that I see people in certain situations that like, okay, this has helped me when I've been feeling those feelings, or like I've dealt with, you know, like parental this, or like friends this, or like societal pressures this, or like certain stresses or something like that, right? Is like, this is how I deal with it, right? And I can see you're going through something that's very similar.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what I would say that I did, and like you can take it or leave it, but I'm not saying I'm an expert, but these are just some things that have helped me. And a lot of people, from my experience, said that it helps, right? Like I help them with the way I've dealt with it, explaining it to them. And so like I thought putting it out there in certain ways with like a blog or a podcast or whatever is like the easiest way to like reach people that I can't talk to one-on-one. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like I know as I've written like and put on my blog, that's what I was eventually getting to, was that in those 2 months, it took me this long. Like today was the day where I finally put it on Facebook, because up until now I've been just kind of writing on it and just hoping only certain people that are going to like it are going to see it. But I wasn't like excited to like put it out publicly and be like, hey guys, come check out my blog. First of all, I don't really like being that guy, but at the same time, I know nobody's going to look at it if I don't. Right.
Yeah, you gotta do a bit of that.
Yeah, like you have to have some, like, let people know it's there.
Back in the day when I made music, there was one guy we made music with, and he's like, I don't want to promote myself. I want to be so good that it, like, you know, it's just noticed. And I'm like, every artist that you look up to has had to promote in some way. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter if they're, you know, like, you know, the authentic artists, you know, they have that look, like Frank Ocean or something, you know. They still had to do promotion. Like, whether they like it or not, they had to in some way. They didn't get to where they were without it. So I'm like, you got to get that mindset. Like, obviously there's too far the other way, where you're just doing it you're overdoing it, where you're going to like Instagram comments being like, hey, I'm an up and coming rapper, blah, 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 check this shit out, you know, and just be like, but like, you know, you got to look into shit, you got to email stuff out, you got to make press kits if you really want to do these things, like, you know. I
think, again, that, like, with the promotion side, if we're talking about that, because, again...
Yeah. There's a way to promote authentically.
That's what well, I mean, just, there's a right way to do it.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Because, again, there's the content, but there has to be some kind of promotion, right? Like, like, my analogy is always the candy bar thing, right? You can have the best tasting, amazing candy bar in the world, but if it's not, like, on the shelves and there's no wrapper, like, if it was just, like, a naked candy bar sitting in the store shelves, people are going to be like, that's gross, I'm not going to eat that. Yeah. But if the candy wrapper has to be somewhat alluring so that people are like, oh, you'll try that. That's an interesting candy bar. Cool. Like, or there's a commercial or something.
Ultimately, finish your thoughts.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Because I think the right way to go about marketing is you have to be, again, focused on giving, like bringing value or something like that, like where it's not about you. Because the problem that I've run into, and I only have a minute and a bit to explain this, is when we're in Seattle, this is the worst example of going too selfish with your marketing is because it's about you. Right, there's these guys outside the convention center because we're there for PAX, and it's about them. It's 100% about them. Yeah. We're there for PAX to see the video games, and they're like, "Hey, buy my CD." Yeah, so
which is the worst way to get your music out there.
Yeah, like so you can listen to my stuff, so I can get big. And I'm just there for the convention. I'm like, I don't care. I don't need new music. And then Brat was nice enough to be like, hey, I'll take your CD, maybe I'll listen to it or whatever. And the guy was like, so you're going to pay me though, right? And then Brat's like, no, I was just taking it to be nice and whatever. He's like, yo, I worked really hard on this. Yes. And it's like, bro, I came here to see video games and I don't care about, you know what I mean?
To build off that conversation, Brat even said like, hey, I don't have any cash, I'm sorry. And the guy's like, oh, it's okay. He had the fucking Square thing. Like, you can swipe your credit card. It's like, I'm not going to fucking trust you with my credit card.
And then one guy, even when I just kind of like, try to avoid him because I could tell he's one of those guys. Yeah. He came up to me and he was like, well, what, are you a sheep too? And then he left. And I'm like, wow, dude.
What are you, a sheep too? Yeah, that's a great way to attack people.
Dude, like how, like you're trying to get your music out. Like your goal, in my opinion, should be like to be like, hey man, like try to bring me value in some way. And they think just their music themselves is value in some way. But it's like, I don't fucking know you. You don't even know if I need music. You gotta build that. You don't give a shit about me. I can tell, right? You just care about you.
Yeah. This is the worst way to get music out of there.
Okay, hold on. Quick intermission. We have
12 seconds. Dude, are you gonna open this or are you just saving it?
No, dude, I'm gonna sell them. They're worth a lot.
Dude, you've had these for as long as I've known you.
Oh shit! I got an offer for one on eBay.
Nice. How much?
$200.
How much did you buy it for?
$50.
Dude, that's sick. What are you gonna do with all that money?
What do you mean? I'm not gonna sell it now.
What? You said you just got an offer.
Dude, look how cool it is.
So, can I open it then?
Dude, it's gonna lose its value.
But you're not selling it.
Look at the picture on the bag. It looks fucking dope.
Kurt, it's in a box in your closet.
Yeah, it's safe there.
I'm gonna open it.
Dude, no, stop!
And we're back from the commercial break, making more jokes from the past. Okay, here we go. Sorry.
It's funny because we actually do have to have a commercial break because we have 30-minute timer on the camera.
Yeah.
It's just DSLR cameras usually only film for like 20 or 30 minutes. So
yeah, it's weird. So you were talking about those guys that
so I think
force their music on you and try to get money.
Yeah, so because I think marketing should be because you're trying to bring them value, right? Like. Not because you can tell, like, you know, like when people are pretending to bring you value, like, yeah, like even these guys, like, they're probably thinking like, yeah, but my music's so good, if you just listen to it, it'll bring you value. But it's like, bro, you don't know anything about me. Like, I wasn't even there. I'm not there for music. Yeah. I'm there to go to the game convention.
Buddy, do you even understand the gift economy? Okay. No, but
well, it's the thank you economy, thanks to Gary Vee. But
no.
But I think the way that marketing should be, you know, done, and again, I haven't done much myself. I've only done a little bit for GMV and whatever, and even then I feel like we could work a lot on this, but it should be like bringing them value, like what's in it for them, right? Because that's what everybody's like, right? Like what's in it for them. But if you're the guy that's providing for them, then they're gonna be drawn to you.
Yeah, right? Then if you provide for them, eventually they might be down to provide for you.
And the other thing is you have to realize that it's what's in it for them is decided by them. Mm-hmm. Right? You can't be like, well, my music's good, so you should like it because I think it's good.
Take your money, go buy
right? This. Yeah, like, give me your money because I think you need this.
Yeah.
But they're going to be like I'm like, I don't fucking need music. Like, this has nothing, I can tell, like, you don't give a shit about me. You just want me to want your music because you think it's good. But I don't, like, care. You know what I mean? Because I didn't come, what I wanted was to go in the convention and play games. Right. And, you know, maybe if he approached me with like something game related, that might have been something that I might have been interested in because I like making friends with other gaming guys. And then maybe he could slip it in somehow or whatever. Right. Yeah. But like bring me some value first because that's what I would like. Everybody would like something. Mm-hmm. Right. But in the way to do that is to know who I am and what I want. Right. And that's why like Gary will always be like, you know, be contextual to whatever. Right. So it's like when you address them in your marketing, you have to like talk to them like it's them, not like, hey, like it's not like TV anymore. It's not like, hey, everybody in the world, this is a great product and come get it. It's like, hey, what, like, you know, if I'm talking to like a 26-year-old artist versus like a 14-year-old high school student versus like a 40-year-old mom, it's like you're going to talk to them differently because they need different things.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe your product isn't for them or something, right? But anyway, that's just what I think of when it comes to marketing, only because I've encountered such bad approaches to it, I guess, like just as a consumer myself, right? Is like, why would I care? Like when people put things out in certain ways, right? But anyway, going back to like, that blog thing, that was like my biggest revelation now recently, or not a revelation, but I guess it's a little step forward of like me putting out my stuff a little bit more public, like putting it on Facebook and being a little bit more loud about it. And that's where, like, again, going back to the original topic that we were talking about, is that you realize like how little people actually care, which is a good thing in the sense of all that judgment that I'm imagining, right, doesn't really exist. So like my example I used in the article was like I stream myself building a Gundam just for fun, like just music in the background. And I was, you know what's funny? Now that I think about it, it's kind of like I was like a lo-fi stream where I was like building a Gundam and there's just music.
That's what I do with my drawing. Like, when I stream too.
And you know, the whole time I'm kind of like I'm trying to fight these thoughts of like, who's watching? I wonder, because I'm not looking at the phone, right? I'm like, who's watching? And like, what are they thinking? And I'm imagining like the best thoughts, right? Of like, oh, that's cool. He builds Gundams, and that's really I like his music, right? And also like the worst thoughts of like, what a fucking nerd, right? This guy just what does he thinks people are gonna watch him? Like he thinks he's fucking nuts building this Gundam. So I'm thinking all these thoughts, and then by the end, I look at the phone and there's like only like 12 people have watched, and it's like not that the number is significant or anything. But it's like people don't really care. Like it's like, yeah, oh, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? It's the same thing as like I've said before, where if you've heard, someone from high school is now like homeless or something, you take a solid, 2 minutes of be like, wow, I remember having math class with that guy and he was cool or whatever. You reminisce about that and you're like, wow, it's so interesting to hear that he's homeless. And then for the next year, you're just not going to think about him ever again because who gives a fuck? Because he's not in your life and you don't give a shit.
Yeah, you gotta worry about yourself.
Yeah, and like it doesn't matter. Like the relevance that your life has on other people's lives is so much more insignificant than you think it is.
Yeah, exactly. You think people are talking about you way more than they actually are.
Or like even that, or
like thinking
even
about you,
or even if they are, like even if you know that it's significant, the value that has for you is too much. The fact that you value that they would be like, oh, he's homeless, like that. Even the fact that that bothers you is like that holds too much weight. You know what I mean? For you to be governing your life in that way.
Exactly.
But the only reason I talk about this too is because everybody has this, including myself. Right? It's like even knowing like in that stream where I'm building a Gundam. I like imagine some random high school acquaintance seeing it and being like, oh, kind of making some kind of bad judgment on me or something kind of negative.
He's still playing with toys
or something like that.
He's 27,
right? Or like, oh yeah, like he's still, or like how people have that, like, oh, he's still working at the gym or something like that.
Exactly.
And it's just like, I don't know. There's people in like that and I'm lucky enough, and like I talk about this a lot too, is that, and I feel like it's a mix of me doing it myself and a mix of luck, obviously. Is that I found myself in a place where there's very few people that I don't think there's anybody really that like has a negative effect or like impression or like pressure on me that I know would probably affect me negatively, right? Like if every day somebody was like making judgments on me, kind of like, Kurt, what the fuck are you doing, right? Whereas for example, like one of our coworkers and one of our friends, I don't know if I should just mention him, but whatever. I feel like it would help if I just mentioned him, but I don't know if he cares. Should I not mention his name?
I'm trying to think who.
Okay, whatever. I'll talk more and you'll understand. Okay. Anyway, so he works at the gym with us. And every day people see him there because he works frequently. And they're like, well, you're still here? Like, what are you doing? Like, are you going to go to school? Or like, what are you you're just working at the gym all the time?
Yeah.
And I know like, subconsciously or consciously, eventually that has an effect on him, right? And and like he also gets it from his family too. Like when you're at family dinners, they're like, like gym's not a, what do you say? Gym's not a job. It's a recreation or something. It's for play, right? Like gym's for fun, not a job or something. Like basically they're kind of just shitting on his job, right? And he's been working there for long enough that they feel like they need to say something. And that has that kind of negative effect.
It's funny that like elevator pitch of your like life affects so much of like people and stuff. Like it's like the dinner talk, like what are my 5 talking points about how my life is going well, and it's like, oh well, I don't have them, so like I guess my life must be fucked. But like your life has more context than that. It's not just, oh, I moved up, I got a promotion at the job, and I'm also doing this, and I'm
but people like live for those
married and
they live for those titles.
They do.
So they can have that elevator pitch or whatever.
We put ourselves in these categories.
The quote of this Instagram meme or whatever should be fuck family dinners. Because that's what it is, right? People want to be at the family like, well, my son is he's going to be a lawyer and he got his own business and he's married and has 2 kids, an apartment and a nice car. So what about your kid? Right? Like that's what they want. Right, but that has nothing to say. Like, I almost had this fantasy of where I wanted to like do all those things. Like, I'm gonna become an engineer. I'm gonna do all that shit. I'm gonna get a nice car, get the nice apartment, and work hard, make a lot of money, and prove to everyone and all these people that were putting this pressure on me to be like, see, I'm not fucking happy. I told you. Like, I told you this wasn't what I wanted. Like,
you wanted to do it to prove.
Yeah, like you pressured me into this. I did it, and now look at what happened. Now I want to fucking like murder everybody.
It's kind of like Gary says, like, would you rather make 200,000 and be unhappy, or would you rather make 80K and like do the thing you like? Like.
But the reason why
a lot of work to just get to that point.
But the reason why they would make it to 200K or whatever is because they're affected by those elevator pitches.
Yeah,
it's because they want to show people that whatever. But the thing is, you have to recognize that like when you're stuck in that, you don't know it though.
Yeah.
Right. Like and that's why like I always try to test myself too. Is that we talked about this recently too? Is now I know right now I don't have the motivation, for example, to work out or train to get better or whatever. And when I do work out, I feel like it's more like maintenance. It's just like I don't want to lose what I have.
I went to the gym yesterday and it was just that.
And then so like
maintenance.
When I'm thinking about not wanting to lose what I have in terms of like my muscle mass or my cardio or whatever it is it because I care? You know, like why do I not want to lose it? Why am I afraid of losing my muscle mass and my cardio? Is that because I give a shit? Sorry, Poochie's over, or my cat's eating some food over there. But I'll try to grab her so you can see her.
I thought she was on the blue screen.
On the blue screen? No,
she was like grabbing it.
She's eating her I don't know. What do you call cat food? It's like not kibbles, right?
Friskies.
I feel like kibbles is like dog food, right?
Kibble's dog food.
I don't know what cat
it's like
food are.
Friskies.
Friskies?
Like
I don't know what the generic, you know, like tissues are Kleenex.
Yeah, I don't know what the generic cat food is.
Yeah, so when I think about that, I'm like, do I want to keep my muscle mass and my cardio because I care what people think? And I'm playing with that idea, and I'm like, well, obviously not fully, because I enjoy working out and I enjoy cardio and I enjoy like sparring and stuff like that. But I think I do also have a little bit of that where I'm like, I fear like my image of myself of like, oh, I'm jacked a little bit, like I have some like muscle mass or whatever, like losing that and becoming like, I don't know, I was talking to Hannah, it was funny, like where like I've noticed like my appetite weirdly sometimes feels like it's a lot, and I'm like, well, what if I just stop working out and I just eat a lot? I'm like, I don't want to become like overweight, like whatever. So like that fears me. But then I cycle back to like, well, why am I afraid of being overweight? Like obviously health reasons, and that's everybody's excuse. But if let's say like, what if being overweight and fat was like completely healthy? Like, would I be worried then? Like, am I that worried about my image? You know what I mean? Like I play these games in my head to like test myself and make sure I'm not doing things for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if anybody plays those games, but I think it's healthy to check yourself a lot of times. Like, and it makes me think of Bobby. Like Bobby's like, it's that's why I admire Bobby, like our friend, that he's so far in the other direction. Yeah. Where like he could we even had a discussion about Swimmer us being really young and talking about this, where he's like, don't you think it's more like the way he doesn't care about the way he looks at all, really? Like he just kind of shows up and he doesn't really care, right? Like obviously he's like clean and he's not like whatever, like he's presentable. Yeah. But he's not like, versus like, you know, I have other friends, and I was like this too, where it's like, yo, I gotta get the new whatever, the kicks and it makes them happy because it's like, it's cool stuff, like you like, you know, hype beast stuff, right? Like the new fucking kicks and the hoodie and the cool stuff, which is like cool for the sake of it being cool, and people get hyped on it in the same way that I get hyped on the new Gundam, right? And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes, you know, there's people that are too far where it's not about the thing anymore. It's because it's Supreme or something, right? It's like,
it looks like crap, but it just has the name brand on it. It's like, yo.
Yeah. It's like the Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of thing, right? It's like, oh, it's the new hype thing, and people, there's value in that. Yeah. Right? Like society or people around you will look at you differently, like, because you have those
things. If you're into something, like, totally on you. Like, if you're genuinely passionate about something, then fine. Like, I don't care. Like, that's great. Like, you be into the new kicks or whatever the fuck you want. But yeah, when it does get to that point, hey, Poochie, she's scratching the couch. Poochie, I love you.
It's okay.
Love you, dumb cat.
Yeah.
When it gets to the point where it's like you'll just buy something just for image. Like, I have a friend, he bought Supreme overalls. And I was like, okay, give me your money. You can't be trusted with it anymore. Because like, that looks stupid. And he only bought it because he's like, I'm like, how much did you pay for it? He's like, $450. I was like, $450 for overalls.
But does he love Supreme and overalls, and that's just like the perfect thing?
Well, he loves Supreme, but it's just like...
But you think...
But it's just like he'll buy anything as long as it says like Supreme on it. Like he'd buy the brick that says.
Yeah, it's kind of like, and I hate to say this, and I feel bad for being like a hater, but sometimes. But you know when Champion came back in and people just show up, people just start showing up with Champion hoodies. Yeah, and I'm like, where were your Champion hoodies before Champion was cool?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like, it just kind of like makes me feel kind of like, why though?
Champion was like, oh, you don't. You can't afford to go to like Foot Locker, Sport Check, you know, or shit like that. It's like,
here we go. Here's Poochie.
There's Poochie. There's Mascot.
She doesn't like being held.
Yeah.
She's gonna jump off right now. No.
Oh, no. Just going to step on the laptop and ruin the stream. Poochie.
Yeah, and not to say that, like, I know sometimes, like, Champion, I'm sure, has great stuff now because now they have the money. Again, you could make that argument. Like, Champion now has the money because so many people bought Champion stuff off the hype that now they make good quality stuff. So now when you want to get a good quality hoodie, you have to buy from Champion. Like, I get that and whatever. But I just have the weird feeling where it's like, you know, once Champion's in, then all of a sudden the people like that just start showing up with Champion hoodies, and you're like, okay, I guess did you just suddenly grow this love for Champion?
Watch it, Fat Farm will be back, or Echo Unlimited.
Do you remember I remember Echo Unlimited.
Yeah. Do you remember Fat Farm?
Kinda, yeah. But a weird one though is that like I remember seeing these fake Yeezys.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, I don't know why I was down to buy those fake Yeezys too. Like now I feel like a hypocrite. But I saw them for like they were like $80. And I'm like, bro, that just seems like a steal because Yeezys go for so much.
They do, yeah.
I'm getting allergic now. But
are you allergic, Cass?
I think I am sometimes.
Oh.
But
shouldn't have put her to your face.
That's true. I put her right in my face. But yeah.
You're such a fucking cat. I love it. Okay, sorry. She's like rolling around now.
But yeah, I don't know, that's helped me a lot though. Like when I can already feel it right now as I'm talking to the stream or talking to the mic or whatever, is that I'm trying to like bring value. Like it's not about me. It's just what will someone find valuable out of me saying anything? Like what can I say that people can hear?
The perfect balance.
And hope why?
You're the giver, I'm the taker. Give me all your fucking money. I'll tell you what to buy.
Give me the
invest your money in Fat Farm right now. Go. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, we're trying to give you value. We're trying to figure our own shit out, and in doing that, we're trying to provide.
I find that interesting too, where
with nothing in return.
Yeah.
Not even your views.
Yeah, right.
But
there's some people that have listened to some of this stuff, like the podcasty stuff.
Yeah.
And they found value out of it when they told me, and that like makes me feel good in the sense of like they're going through similar things, and just hearing people going through similar things and how we're dealing with it and relating to it is like valuable to them.
If we affect one person, we've done what we want to achieve.
Well, I mean, even when that one person has come up to me, like Mike at the gym, and we talk about this stuff, it like, I don't know, it just makes you feel good to just be like, oh, you put your stuff out there, and they're like, yeah, man, it's really awesome to like listen to your stuff. It helped me a lot, or like it's really interesting to listen to, or like I'm going through the same thing when they're relating to you. It just feels good, right? But I think
you get that one a lot. I get, oh, you're kind of funny.
But I mean, to be fair, I think it's because I talk about I talk about these things.
You actually want to talk about these like social, existential things, and philosophical,
personal, psychological, sociological.
I like talking about these things, and when you bring it up, I'm engaging in this content. But it's not like my go-to like bring up thing. But
I think it's just because
doesn't mean I'm not capable of discussing this or like.
Of course. But I think it's just because I see
now
it.
You talk.
Are you done?
You can go.
It's a hair.
Yeah, I can feel that hair. I've been wondering where that was going.
But yeah, no, I think it's just because
you're allowed to talk now.
And so
no, you can go. It's fine. Sorry, go on. And that's the bit. Okay, go on.
So I think that like it's because when I see people around me, like I said, like the guy at the gym or like my friends or like I don't know anybody or even just people, even on social media sometimes, is that I can, and these are all assumptions, so maybe I could be wrong, but it seems as though they're dealing with some of the things that I'm talking about. And again, I'm not saying I have the answers, and I'm not saying I'm an expert. It's just I have these thoughts, and I feel like they can help in a lot of ways. Fuji just wants attention. Look at her.
Fuji. Can you at least get on the camera so you can provide content? Come on.
She's like, no.
So selfish. Yeah. You're selfish, cat. Nope. Let's put her in between. Okay. Now you get the love and okay.
So how do you feel about are you at the place where you're comfortable putting stuff out, you think?
Am I at the place where I'm comfortable putting stuff out?
Like, I remember you mentioned to me, too, that you sometimes feel like, what are people thinking and self-conscious about things, which, of course, I feel all the time, too, right?
Yeah, I definitely was at that point. I mean, I've been a perfectionist when it came to comics for a long time, which is probably why it took me so long to put out my first comic, which fell apart. But
I think everybody's first thing falls apart.
I think so too. A lot of times I listen to comic artists like podcasts and they'll be like, yeah, your third idea will probably be the one you finally do, which is kind of
Well, it could be.
where I'm at,
It could
or
be anywhere.
second,
It could
yeah.
be like
It could be beyond. Yeah,
so
it could be
all.
But
the
I
first
don't-
try never works.
when it's something like drawing and stuff, I don't have as much issue putting it out. Because at the end of the day, I always think like I could archive this, I could delete it. Like if I don't like it down the line, like it's fine. At least I put something out, you know. When it comes to myself, sometimes I do go like, is this worth putting out? You know, like I don't know, like I don't know if I like it enough. I don't know if I like my voice enough, or like what I say enough, or how I'm on the stream and stuff. Like I was doing those like streams, like art streams for a bit. Do you remember those when I had the studio?
Yep.
And that was a good period of time just doing shit. But you know, sometimes just like trying to make content on my own, it's like with involving myself, it's tough for me to just like. You're very comfortable just talking on the camera and just talking about your like feelings and ideas and thoughts and comments.
You'd be
and
surprised
things like that.
how
I'm sure it takes a lot of like retakes and things like you don't even put out and stuff like that.
Lots of stuff.
But the thing is, you're constantly doing it, whereas I'm not. I would do like one thing and I'm like, I don't know about this, like, you know. And I was trying to make my own vlog for a bit, but just due to technical issues and stuff, I can't currently. But
excuses.
no, it's my phone like lags.
Excuses. I'm just kidding.
If you want a whole stream of me going. So anyway, but yeah, I know. I mean, doing GMV has made me a lot more comfortable being on camera and stuff, and I have no problem like making content. When it for some reason when it's under that umbrella of GMV, it's like yeah, fuck it, put it out there, I don't care. But when it's like I'm gonna do my own thing, like just involving me, it's like this is tough. You know,
I'm the same.
Like,
I'm the same. I'm exactly the same.
It's weird because it's almost like a shield having everybody.
Yep.
In this group, like.
Well, it's also because it's
like as a group thing.
Yeah, like it's the brand.
Exactly.
Right? It's
yeah.
for GMV. It's for the brand. It's
Yeah.
for the company or the whatever you want to call it. It's for the GMV. It's not about me. It's
Yeah.
about GMV. Okay, but I think I've tried to
the difference between me and you. Sorry.
Yeah. But I'm trying to get over that. Also because I'm not sure where we're taking GMV and what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a good stepping stone, like we've always said, right? Like it's a good starting place because it allows us to feel comfortable to do these things. And the other thing I think going back to this reminds me of the marketing or whatever all this stuff is that you also, similarly, you don't get to decide what your content brings value to people, like what the value
how it brings value.
You don't decide that. Like you could put something out that you're like, I don't know about this and whatever, and then somebody's gonna look at it and so Poochie's just lying.
Sorry, this cat's so funny, man.
Yeah, I don't know what she's doing.
Anyways,
she's loving the spotlight even though she's not in it. She's just lying there. If you guys could see her right now. Oh yeah, so like you could put something out. Like I'm thinking about, for example, the song like Because I Got High. Because I got high. I feel like they made that and just kind of for fun.
Yeah.
At the time, there's probably just for just whatever.
They probably didn't.
And they're probably like, I don't should we even put this out? It's probably just whatever.
Yeah.
And they put it out, and now it's just everybody knows it's smash hit probably by now, like today's standards or whatever, right? And I think there's a lot of those things like that. It's like I found that sometimes with my minutes too. Some of the ones that did better than the other ones were the ones where I didn't even think. I was just like. Or I drank juice and I was just like, 10 out of 10 juice. And that was it. That was the whole thing. I just didn't care. Or where I was just talking out of the top of my head, just not caring.
Yeah.
And then usually when I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is so dumb. Like, who would watch this? It's just me being just an idiot for no reason.
It's funny you say that because I do remember the juice one a lot.
The juice one. Or the one where I'm eating McDonald's with the cheeseburger.
Oh, yeah.
I almost died or whatever because there's cheese and I didn't know I wasn't allergic yet because that's another story. Or the one where... you remember at the end of a vlog or somewhere in the vlog, I'm like in the car and I'm talking to myself? Mm-hmm. Do you remember that where I'm like... and I'm like making car noises to myself? And I'm just like... People like that stuff, but like I couldn't tell that was something because people and I was thinking
it's hard to tell how it's valuable to someone.
And that's what I mean is I think like I was listening to Gary Vee talk about this in a 4Ds where he has client meetings, And he was telling them that, and he says this all the time, right? Is that like, you don't get to decide what's quality, like what's good and what's going to bring value or not, right? That's why he's like, you just put out as much shit as you can, and you can get the data back from that, is like what people actually like. They're like, I like this stuff, and you can be, okay, that's a good data point for me. So if I'm trying to bring value, I can keep that in mind. Is like, okay, people like this stuff.
Couple things with Gary is like, he's like, yeah, like similar to that conversation. He's like, I didn't think people would even enjoy me putting out these comics, and then people kept asking for more of these. So he's like, so I made some more of them during that period of Gary. Yeah, and then there's another thing. He's like, everyone's trying to go for that viral hit, but you don't know what's gonna be viral. You just make as much shit, like you said, and like hope for the best, you know.
Actually, he said another thing,
and then he's
really
like,
interesting.
when it is viral, it's not even that big a deal, guys. He's like, it's honestly not that exciting, like you know. And the problem is, if you hit viral too quick, then you're always chasing that high that you might never get back, you know. Like
and I think it might be better. Like he said this. He said on the back of that, I think he was also saying that it's almost better to, instead of have one video with a million views, it's better to have a cumulative million views, because you're consistently bringing. It's like easier to ride off of that.
Oh, definitely.
Than it is to like have one, and then every other one you're like, ah.
And you become like Chewbacca mom, and you get big real quick, and then it's like, what? This person can't make any valuable content beyond this. Like, it's gonna be good again, you know. And I didn't even like that shit, but I'm just saying, like, that was viral.
Because it would mean that, like, if you had cumulative million of views. This is in what I'm imagining is it might have been like the same people watching, but that means that through all those pieces of content, you brought them enough value to watch that many videos.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you had, I don't know, like 100 videos and each one of them got like 100 views from the same people, that means the same people watched 100 of your videos.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that was enough value for them to keep watching. Right, rather than just that one video where it's like, yeah, that one video brought value, but like it's just viral because it's stupid and it got passed around, and like, you know what I mean. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with virality and all that stuff. It's just, if you're someone that chases that kind of self gratification and like all that stuff, it's difficult to compete with that again once you have it, because now you're like, you're trying to chase that hit again.
It's like taking roids, and then when you get off roids, you shrink, and you're like, fuck, like it must be depressing, you know, because like you hit such a high with how big you got, and now it's like naturally there's no way you'll attain that again.
Yeah.
And especially after you fucked your testosterone.
It's a really good analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, you know, when it comes back to like putting stuff out, I think what we were talking about, because I was trying to talk about you putting stuff out, because I was curious about GMV.
If I feel comfortable putting stuff out, or was it?
Yeah, it's like being like comfortable putting stuff out under the umbrella.
Yeah, it's almost like I was saying. It's almost like a shield in a way, because it's like what it's with you guys is just me fucking goofing off, and at the same time I could be like, well, I have these other guys who are goofing off with me, so I don't feel bad. You know, it's like that strength in numbers, I guess, or like you can hide within the masses, which is only 4 of us or whatever, however many us at the time.
I mean, it reminds me of like, you know, when you're at the mall, and if you're by yourself, you feel a tiny bit more awkward. You're like, people could be judging you more. Exactly, like if let's say like I was walking through the mall and I just suddenly was like, oh wait, I forgot I have to go the other way. Yeah. And you change directions. You're like, oh, I wonder who saw that, and they saw me like realize I made a mistake going this way and I actually have to go that way. Whereas if you're with someone, they'd be like, oh, they probably just changed their minds together and they decided they're gonna go watch a movie now instead. Exactly. Right? It's totally normal when there's a bunch of, or like, what if you're walking through the mall and you're laughing to yourself? You kind of look like a crazy person, just a tiny bit more than if you're with more people and you're laughing together. It's like, oh yeah, they're together and they're laughing, right? So I guess it's sort of like that in a way with GMV, but I don't know where this GMV stuff is going yet, because we're not. I don't feel like we're all as we have as much energy, and I think a lot of us we've realized too, like how much time and energy it actually would take to make it more whatever they wanted it to be, or whatever certain people wanted it to be. Yeah. And so I think, you know, we're at a place where
we're in a state of flux.
But I think that's a good thing to realize, you know, what it takes to get somewhere, right? Like certain people think you can just, whatever it may be, either like learn a skill or whatever, you know, like make a YouTube channel and make it big, is that you try it and you're like, okay, yeah, I can see. It's kind of like, this happens at the gym all the time. A lot of people come into our gym, and like when I'm thinking about training, right, our MMA gym, a lot of people come in and they're like, I want to take a fight. like I wanna be a fighter, like I want to take maybe not a professional fight, but they want to fight in the cage.
They have that inherent talent.
And you're like, why? And they're like, well, I'm not getting any younger, and it's like something on my bucket list. I just want to try, and I just want to do it, and I just and I think and they didn't say this, but I assume a lot of it's because like if you tell someone you have a fight in the culture right now, people are excited about it, and they're like, "Oh my god, you're gonna take a fight? I'll come to your fight, I'll support you, I'll be there cheering."
I want you to get your ass kicked.
Well, no, like people, like they're gonna garner all this support from everyone around them, and everybody's gonna understand. And it's a good thing. It's like like that's really it's something that's tough, and it's really scary, and you're doing it right, and that's awesome, and they love all that support, and they want to be the person at the end. That's like fighting in the cage, everybody's cheering for them, and then they win and they get their arm raised in front of everybody and they're the winner, and they get all this like positive reinforcement, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas I think once they start actually training, they realize, okay, this is actually really hard. Like I have to come to training camp every day and get my ass kicked and be able to will myself through that. It's a lot of physical effort. You have to cut weight. There's all these things that they realize it's a lot harder than you think it is. And I think that's something that when we're doing this GMV, we're slowly we realized a lot of that now, and now this is where the chips are falling. And I'm still here, and I'm willing to make content, whether it's GMV or not.
Okay, well,
it's been like an hour.
It's been a lengthier conversation for like kind of one topic. It branched off a bit.
There's a bunch of topics there, but
there was a bunch of topics. Sorry, I'm too close to the mic, I feel like.
See, I'm glad. So finally, you guys have realized, or you've at least realized
I've always cared about audio. I've just never been able to see this.
Yeah, but you guys.
I'm gonna see the waveform.
No, I'm gonna cut back to seeing double, where you guys are like, when you want to say something, you grab the mic and put it to your face, even though we've already tested the levels when it's here, and then you guys are both fighting over the mic to be like, and I'm gonna make a joke really right here where the mic's like right in front of my face, right there, and then I have to, when I'm editing, I'm like, oh my god, you guys, you guys are talking at this level, and then it's like max peak because you guys will have to shove the mic right in your face, and then when we're at this distance, you guys talk like at a normal kind of voice like here when you're like at the far end of the table.
It takes practice.
Talking, and I've said that when you're at the end you gotta talk a little louder, but you guys talk really quiet when you're like really far away. But then you guys get really close and start talking really loud.
So, anyways, you should go follow GMV at gmv.gov at eu.au.com. So go to our YouTube channel, go watch some Seeing Double. Watch these guys casts. Go watch Front Desk. Go watch the vlog. Go watch the peak levels. Where we at? Yeah, anyways, no kidding, you guys go check that shit out. That'd be really great. Thanks for watching. Have a good night. And remember,